Hey everybody, it's Travis speaking. So last video we took a look at how to copy monitor grids and levels out of our architectural project. We've got that one linked in, but we've got a structural and a mechanical file that we want to take a look at in this same coordination model, but we don't have those linked in yet. So let's take a look at what might happen. I think we're going to have some juicy instances of coordination issues, and we'll show you some of the ways that you can address them and kind of document those things for coordination meetings in the future. So let's take a look. You can see up here I've got an RCP for my level 1 and I've got my level 1 floor plan. These are both coordination views, and you can see I haven't even really set up any other floor plans yet. I'm still just trying to get these models federated. So I'm going to go back up to my Insert tab, click on Link Revit, and this time I'm going to bring in the structural model. And what I'm really trying to do is just get these things so that they're on the same levels, same plane, just line up the XYZ, right? So when I go into my hospital folder and I grab the structural model and I use that same internal origin to internal origin that I use for the architecture, I don't think we're going to get as nice of a situation. And notice right now I have my views tiled so I can see where this is going in a number of situations, because even though my RCP isn't cropped, my plan was, and I don't have the actual crop engaged or the scope box engaged anymore, so I can see where those are coming through. Whereas over here on the section, because I've got the scope box on in this view, it's kind of cropping out where that new structural file came in. Okay, so from the floor plan, it might be the best or the easiest way. I could come in here and I could grab a grid intersection. I might hit TL just to make sure that I don't have those big globby lines in the way, and I could just grab the link and then get that intersection, right? So I'm going to hit SI just so that I make sure I've got the intersection, and then if I come down here to my architecture file, I should see that grid intersection right here. Hit SI again, and then we see all that kind of tuck into where we want it. And now we've got a good idea or an indication as to what's going on with this foundation, so that'll inform what we do with this top of the footing level here. It looks like we've got a whole bunch of piles in there. So again, we can come back, Link Revit. This time we'll bring the mechanical model in. And again, use that internal origin to internal origin. And this time, probably going to see our challenge. Okay, so again, it's just telling me what the link settings are for this, telling me that the structure and the architecture file are linked into the mechanical model. So what we're about to see is a mechanical model coming in, and if you'll notice, it looks like it came in the exact same spot as the structural did. Okay, so if there is actually no grid in here, which I'm not sure there is, without opening up that file to see how do I now move this into the same position, I don't really have anything to do that with. If you select this file, then you can see a project base point. Okay, now here's a survey point from which model here? Looks like that's coming from the structural. Okay, so if I was to take the survey point, move that over to this survey point, they would probably line up. It just kind of looks very close. So to me, it just makes more sense to come back to the structure model, delete it, say remove file, and then just say link Revit and do the structural link one more time. Then you have two files to move at the same time, and things will probably work a little bit better. Now, if you're a Revit purist, you're probably saying to yourself, why didn't he coordinate the project base points and the survey points? And that's an awesome, really astute question, and I probably should have. If this was a real project, I would be trying to get that done. But the thing is the project base point isn't as important if you're not using certain tools like spot elevations or spot coordinates. If you are using those, then it is important, and then you're going to want to make note of that. Okay, but I can't really let that coordination challenge stop me from doing what I'm doing at the moment. So what I'm going to do is now select both the structure and the mechanical files. Well, actually, before I do that, I should practice good work set allocation. So with the structural model selected, change that work set to structural link, and then we'll grab the mechanical and change that to mechanical link. And the next thing that I create should be the next thing I'm considering for my active work set. I'm not sure what I'm going to be creating right now, so I'm not going to worry about that for the time being. But I am going to go back, grab both of those models now, and I think I'm going to do this from my floor plan. And I should be able to grab that intersection now for both files and bring that back down to where I brought the structure file initially on its own. So once again, I'll just hit SI for snap intersection, and then if we hit WT for window tile, follow that up with ZA for zoom all extents, and we should get a good idea of what we got here. It's taking a sec to render out. So a couple things to consider. When you look at this, you can see that our view templates and the coordination kit are set up so that we can easily identify different disciplines elements easily. So you'll notice that everything coming from the structural model for the most part is purple. When we look at the mechanical model, we're seeing a lot of what they are currently seeing from their system classifications, right? So if you grab any of these runs and you tab select it, you take a look, you'll see it saying supply air for the system classification. Anything that you grab that's magenta here is going to have that. So that's more or less coming from the model, and that's their system types that's giving you that. But some other things that you may want to take a look at, and if you look at the RCPs, we've got transparency set on ceilings so that we can see where a ceiling actually is and where it's open. And you can tell the difference with the transparency as to whether something is above or below that ceiling. Right here where we don't actually have a ceiling, you can see it's unobscured, whereas over here it's putting a bit of a pink shade to that ductwork. When a duct would come below that ceiling, you would be able to tell because it would begin to look a little bit more like this, and then you would know that there's either a penetration required or it's a clash, right? So now I've got those other two files in there, we can start to take a look at things that we need to address with the other model authors on the team. So we talked a little bit about project base points, okay? Now here's a project base point. It's gray, but when I hover over it, you can see it lets me pre-select it. So I'm just going to take a look. What do we have for our project base points? So I'm going to suspend my view template just for a second so I can shut off the links. Right. Oh. So here's my project base point, right here, 0 zeros, right? And then here's the project base point from the mechanical model. If we cycle through that at the lower portion of the screen, yeah, you can't see anything but the mechanical model when we select this. So I would need to kind of isolate the structure, see where that is, right? But the important point that I'm trying to make is this is a point of conversation for our next coordination meeting. So we have a tool in the coordination kit. It's a detail item, right? And you'll notice that I've taken the other 3 of these away, but this is one example of where we use this in the template just to show people, hey, you've got 2 elevations here and they are used differently. So if I want to do something and make a note for that next meeting, I'm going to bring up my detail line, or my detail tools, right? And that one, if we type LS, you can see there's a markup option. So I'm going to come down here to the project base point, and by drawing that line in there, I can kind of encapsulate that, and then we can say what the markup sheet is, if there is one. In this case right now there isn't, so I'm just going to put beside that coordination plan. That way people can tell it's not, I'm not finding this on a sheet number, but what I'm actually putting in here for the note is project base point and survey point alignment required. Okay, so that's just the first note that I'm putting into place so that when I meet up with the team, like the whole design team later on, that will be number 1 on my list. So that's under this coordination report. It's just a schedule that's set up that is isolating that detail item, and you can see if you needed to get back to that and you were in your meeting and you didn't have the view open, this allows you to actually say highlight in the model and it'll pull that back up for you where that is. Okay, so that's good if you have Revit open in front of you. But again, if you don't and you're just looking at a PDF set, then you want to provide your project manager with a sheet number or at least some indication as to where to find where this issue is. I'm simply just putting this into the list so that the next time I meet with the other disciplines, I can say, hey, this is something that we need to address in our model, okay? When really that's a separate topic for today. We're just talking about these coordination tools here, but that would be getting into coordinates and publishing and acquiring coordinates. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. Hope there was a couple nuggets in there for you. If there's any questions, leave them in the comments. If you're enjoying the content so far, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye now.